Hello, welcome to this week's coffee tasting. Today we're going to be looking at El Perezoso. El Perezoso is a honey-processed mixed varietal coffee from 3 different farms located in the West Valley of Costa Rica. And unlike other weeks, rather than cupping, what I'm going to be doing is tasting a brewed coffee that I've made myself this morning. So today I've chosen a batch filter brew, which would be very, very similar to V60 brewing at home. And I thought I'd do this as a way of being able to taste exactly what you would be tasting at home should you choose to use this brew method. So I've made a cup earlier, so let's pour it and see exactly what we're tasting. Now, because of the honey process, I'm expecting this to be a pretty fruit-forward coffee. So let's have a taste. So the first thing to note about this is it's got a very, very syrupy texture to it. The acidity in it is quite pronounced, but not overarching and not overpowering. So pronounced but balanced with the rest of the cup. The types of fruit descriptors that I would think with this is there's a little bit of tropical fruit. I know on our bag that we've put pineapple, and that's what I mean by tropical fruit. I've also added red grape as a descriptor as well. I'd probably also to add some other purple fruits, so maybe some black currant, that type of thing. On the finish, there's an interesting hazelnut descriptor. You'd also say there was maybe a touch of milk chocolate as well. Milk chocolate is something that I tend to find in quite a lot of coffees from Costa Rica. So this is an absolutely delightful filter brew, and the reason why I've chosen to brew this as a filter coffee today was namely because of the way I wanted to try and approach the roast. This honey process is something that you would see an awful lot in Costa Rica, and it's kind of synonymous with that origin. So what I wanted to try and do in the roast is really emphasize everything that the processing method would do. So when I was thinking about how to apply heat, I would go through the usual heat application process I do in our probat. So that is quite a lot of energy early on in the process. That's to drive water out of the cell structure, to make sure that I use all of the energy available within the roast and the power of the burner to penetrate the core of the coffee. I want to cook from the inside out, so I've really got to charge those beans with an awful lot of energy to get the chemistries rolling. So this, I wanted to hit somewhere between 10 and 11 minutes in total roast time. That is a very, very general, standardized way that I approach roasting in this roaster. I actually hit 10 and a half minutes, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to shorten up the post-first crack development time, and that was to allow any of the acids to remain poppy inside of the cup rather than running the development time on so that the acids are muted. I wanted this to be a fruit-forward coffee, so that was my intention as I roasted it. So for those of you who roast, the total first crack development time for this particular brewed coffee was 1 minute 38. The end temperature was 205.1. And the total roast time for this particular coffee was 10 minutes and 36 seconds. So I'll just have another little taste just to see how the cup or how the coffee opens up as it cools. So more of the texture comes out with this. Some of that syrupy quality in there. There's a very prevalent milk chocolate and hazelnut character on this finish, and but really beautifully pepped up by that grape, maybe some black currant. The tropical note that I have put on the descriptor of the bag has waned some, and that's probably because as the heat dissipates out of the cup. Some of those volatile top notes, those aroma compounds, dissipate some. But an absolutely delightful brewed coffee, and I'm suitably impressed in the way that this has come out in the roaster. Is there a way that I might approach a different roast next week? Probably not. Like maybe I'd want a touch more acidity, so maybe I would just reduce that post first crack development time by a couple of seconds, maybe not so far as a minute and 30, but maybe a minute and 35. So a 3-second reduction can actually make quite a pronounced impact on the overall cup profile. So let's just discuss what other brew methods this would be good for. For those of you who like espresso, I think with this you're going to get an awful lot of the texture out, that hazelnut, that milk chocolate finish. The grape-like fruit characteristic will be there too, but the acidity is well balanced, so it shouldn't be too prominent in the cup. Much the same as last week, I think this is going to be super well suited to an AeroPress, and I kind of wish that I didn't brew it as an AeroPress this morning. Maybe next week that's exactly what I will do. Stovetop mocha pots and other things like other methods of brewing such as that. I think much the same as espresso, you're going to get those hazelnut, those milk chocolate characters through. You're going to get an interesting play on that syrupy quality as well. But if I was going to be brewing this, I would be looking at a filter brew or an AeroPress as kind of a hybridized brew. That would be my preference. To be honest, I'm going to see my family this weekend, and I'm going to take this down, and we'll probably have a cafetiere style coffee, and I think that would go exceptionally well with that as too. The cafetiere or full immersion brewing really promotes an awful lot of the body characteristics. It's those fine particles in suspension that add texture within your mouth, and this coffee has a syrupy texture, so cafetiere brewing would be really good for this too. But as most weeks go, my preference would be filter brewing, possibly AeroPress. So I'll just have one final taste before I go. Yeah, that red grape is now coming through too. Red grape, clean, syrupy, and a blend of hazelnut and milk chocolate on the finish. I hope you enjoy the coffee, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.